And former President Donald Trump has been on the campaign trail, and he's teasing a big announcement next week. Trump held a final rally of the midterm season last night in Ohio. He has endorsed hundreds of candidates this cycle. So for more on this, let's bring in Mick Mulvaney. He's a former acting chief of staff to former President Donald Trump and a CBS News contributor and a former congressman. Mick, let's talk about Trump's influence on these races. If Republicans have a good night tonight, is Donald Trump to thank?
Well, I think that's certainly the case in a couple of races. I think he's endorsed about 300 candidates, and that so it doesn't really, it sort of comes out in the wash when you're talking about that many endorsements. If you want to measure the night from a success or failure standpoint from Trump's perspective, look to Georgia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Arizona. That's it. Those are the four big ones. Those four big Senate races are where he went into the race, got heavily involved in a Republican primary, and said, that's my candidate. And his candidate won in all four of those races. If all four of those win tonight, then it'll be an unmitigated success for Trump. I think if at least two or even three of those lose tonight, it's going to be a huge failure for Trump. So, yeah, you can look at all 300 if you want to. He certainly will. But at the end of the day, the real question is, can he get those candidates across in those really, really tight races in those four states? Those are the four I'll be looking at as we go through this evening.
And in my reporting, a lot of these Republican candidates sought Trump's endorsement, and in doing so, they echoed his false claims about the 2020 election. That's a way that they secured his endorsement. We have hundreds of Republicans running for offices up and down the ballots who have questioned or denied flat out the election results of 2020. You are a former member of Congress. You are a Republican. Is that something that you would be proud of? I mean, what does it say that all of these candidates are getting traction into these offices, perhaps, by denying the election results?
It's certainly something I disagree with. I happen to believe and know that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I think it's up to the voters in the individual races as to whether or not that's a big enough deal for them. Do I worry about the stability of the democracy going forward? Not really. And clearly, the electorate, if it does turn into a red wave tonight, isn't concerned about that as well. So it is an issue. There's no question. It pales in comparison to the issues of the economy and crime and so forth. So I know the Democrats have certainly tried to make an issue of it. It remains to be seen whether or not it determines the outcome at all tonight. It may be just another issue that the Democrats have chased, like abortion and the stability of the democracy, that doesn't work for them tonight. But again, it's the reason we have elections. It's the beauty of elections is that people actually have a chance to say, so we'll see what the electorate says tonight when they vote.
Yeah, 308 by our count have questioned the 2020 election results when people are focused on the economy and inflation. I do want to ask about former President Trump because he is teasing an announcement. I know that you have said that you wouldn't support him if he were to run again. Is that correct? And what kind of impact do you think he's having by teasing these kinds of announcements at this point when Republicans want to be focused on the election right now?
You use the right word. He loves to tease these announcements. One of my favorite announcements he's made in the past couple of months was that soon he would make a decision that would make many, many people very, very happy, which of course tells you nothing, because if he runs, a bunch of people are going to be happy. And if he doesn't run, a bunch of people are going to be happy. What you're seeing is what got Trump elected in the first place in 2016 was that he's a master manipulator of media. He knows how to use the media to get his message across. He knows the message he wants to deliver. And I think he sees a large red wave tonight at Republican victory. And if he can take advantage of that to propel some momentum for him into 2024, you could absolutely expect him to take advantage of that.
But you do not want him to run again?
Yeah, everybody asks that, and I keep wondering why people care what I care so much about. In this country, typically when somebody asks you how you vote, we tell you it's none of anybody's damn business. But I do appreciate the interest in who I'm voting for. It makes it for some good discussions.
You did work for him. Well, Mick Mulvaney, thank you so much. I know we'll be talking to you later in the night. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much.